Welcome back, everybody. Time now for the call to the bullpen, but we're welcoming in New Canaan Country School educated first baseman with 328 career home runs, Mo Vaughn, to the show. And Mo, we just caught up with you in the commercial break. We're talking about this Matt Harvey stuff. And before we get into some stories from your career and all the fun stuff, the decision of an athlete to say what Matt Harvey did to the media, what is your reaction to that? And as a former player, your frustration, which I'm sure you had, how did you air it out when there were reporters at your locker and, frankly, you didn't want to talk?
Well, you had to talk. I played in, listen, you're playing in New York, Philadelphia, Boston, these big markets, LA. There's an obligation after a loss, and more importantly after a loss, to be accessible and own what happened. That's just the way that it goes. You can take that position of not talking, but damn it, it's not going to get you anywhere. In fact, it's going to get you even more hurt. So I would suggest, just get up there to the, step up to the plate, or, so to speak. Let them know how you feel. You might not like something, but be truthful, and then you move on. And that's the way it works.
Mo, did you ever, without obviously naming anybody, but did you ever have an instance where a teammate didn't talk? And I'm wondering how that goes over with guys like you who would be accountable. You struggled, you made an error, you struck out 3 or 4 times, you talked, and then this other guy won't. Does that impact the guy's standing with his teammates?
Listen, there's people on the team that can handle that. There's some people that can't. You know who they are and who they aren't. It's when you talk when you're doing well, and then you don't talk when you're doing poorly. Those are the differences that you can see. And that makes for some separation a lot in the clubhouse. But if you are prominent and you are a key, or even if you don't want to be, and you're in that situation, it's an obligation to step up when it's tough.
Yeah, and New York, different altogether, right? I mean, you talked about that during the break, too. I know you come from Boston and, big figure there, MVP year, but there's an adjustment coming to New York City. At what point do you learn that? Or is that something that's in you? Do you have to learn to get adjusted to be more accountable because it's New York City?
I think it's in you. I think it's tough to come from somewhere else and understand what it is. I think it's just East Coast. I don't know if necessarily it's New York or Boston. In some ways, I think it's tougher. It was tougher to play in Boston before 2004 than it was anywhere else.
Right.
Because it was one team, a whole bunch of reporters cluing on one thing. At least, the Mets or the Yankees, you lose, and they got, each other to work off of. So, but I think it's in you, and you got to know that. But you have to know, coming in as a free agent, or coming up in the minor leagues, or coming over in a trade, this is what it is, and you got to be ready for it.
Mo, we were talking about before we, when we decided to have you on, some of our favorite Mo Vaughn memories. 505-foot home run. The beauty of the internet is that I can watch that video like it just happened, and I did on YouTube today. Do you remember the feeling off the bat that home run was significantly different from anything else you would ever hit at Shea Stadium?
One, like in my career, didn't hit a lot of them, but...
I mean, you hit a decent amount, 328, I believe.
Compared to some of these guys, but, it's just effortless, and the pitcher's supplying a lot of the power. It's the perfect, velocity, perfect bat angle. It meets the bat effortlessly. It's one of those things that, you come across, a few times in your career where you struck the ball perfectly, and that's what happens.
Oh, I used to love your batting stance, digging in there, lefty, and just mashing it when you hit it. Now, quick story, 2002, before you came, I used to buy jerseys every year of a player that I would like that year. And because they brought in all these big names, I was thinking, maybe this year I go with Piazza. They were sold out. So then I go Mo Vaughn, who I love, Robbie Alomar, who I used to love. I went with Alomar. Big mistake. He still owes me $220. but I still regret that to this day, that jersey. But I do remember vividly you hitting a huge home run, 8th inning, Sunday Night Baseball, Shea Stadium, David Wells. You're trailing by 2. Subway Series, Mo. Those games, they meant a lot more. Playing in it. This was an awesome moment being there. You remember that big moment?
Yeah, listen, David Wells is one of my favorite guys because he used to come after me. We used to have a lot of good battles. But at least I did something in the Mets uniform.
Yeah, that was huge.
That worked out. So, you know, I was happy to see that, definitely.
The 0-2 team, I mean, obviously things didn't work out for the team. Your numbers, I went back and looked at them today. You had a pretty good year yourself.
Yeah, and he says, at least I did something in a Mets uniform. It's a pretty good year.
26 home runs. I mean, I'm sure that you were expecting more of yourself, but your year may be better than people remember it. But team-wise and individual-wise, if you want, why it looks so good on paper? Why do you think it went so wrong with that team? What happened that year?
Because it's not about paper. It's about gelling in the clubhouse. It's about things just going right. Again, people being accountable. Like you said to me, Mo, you know, you had a pretty good year. But if you're truthful to what I am about how I want to play, I'm going to tell you that wasn't a good year. Because that's being straightforward and straight up about, you know, how you feel and how you think you should play.